we're going to be talking about area of shaded regions. So the best way that I can describe it to you, and unfortunately I'm not there to like actually show it to you in person, but let's say we have like a piece of paper, right? And then I find the area of this piece of paper is 12. Okay. Then let's say I'm like, all right, well, I'm making an arts and crafts project. So I want to cut a hole in the middle of this paper. So I do. I cut a hole in the middle of this paper. Now, all of this paper right here, it still exists, right? But this paper, I cut out. This paper right here no longer exists. I cut it out with a pair of scissors. I know that this paper right here has an area of 2. And I want to figure out what the area of all of the pink part is. So after you cut something out, that means you subtract it out. So the area of a shaded region literally means that we cut something out, so we subtract. Okay. Now, all of this right here, you didn't have on your own paper. So now I'm going to transition into your paper. So let's take a look at this first example right here. So this example right here is the same thing. You have a piece of paper, right? So the big rectangle is your piece of paper, and then you take a pair of scissors and you cut out this circle right here. So we're finding the area of the shaded region, which means we subtract. All right? And make sure everything I write, you write from this point on. Oh, by the way, area of shaded region means that you subtract. That's what goes in that blank right there. Okay. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to treat this like we have been. We look at our shapes and we figure out what we have. So right here, we've got a rectangle. And then we have this shape right here, which is a circle. Now we just write down our area formula. So the area formula for a rectangle is area equals base times height. And then I'm going to look at my rectangle. I'm going to say, okay, what are my units? Well, looking at my rectangle, my units are 15 and 8. So I would do area equals 15 times 8. And I would find that the area equals 270 meters squared. Then I take a look at my circle. Remember, my circle has an area formula of area equals pi times radius squared. But instead of saying radius squared, I would say pi times radius. Well, taking a look at your circle right here, this 6 goes all the way across our circle. So does that make this a radius or a diameter? 6 is a diameter. But remember, I can't use diameter. I have to have a radius. So how do I go from a diameter to a radius? I divide by 2. So I would take 6, divide by 2, and that gives me a radius of 3. All right, so now I plug it in. I say area equals pi, which is 3.14, times our radius, which is 3, times our radius, which is 3. And that's going to give us an area of 28.26 meters squared. Now, we have to find the area of a shaded region. The area of a shaded region means that we cut something out. So that means we're subtracting. So I take 270 and I subtract 28.26. And that's going to give me 241.74. Now, if at any point you did not get this written down, make sure you write down whatever you're missing. There's that snippet for you. Okay. All right, let's take a look at this right here. Find the area of a shaded region. So when we take a look at this, we once again see 2 shapes. I see my big shape, which is the circle. And then I see my little shape, which is a rectangle. We're going to start with the circle because it's the bigger shape. Now, with this circle, I have to figure out which number is in the middle of this. So I actually see two numbers here. I see 20, and then I see 18, which is what I just highlighted green. So this right here is 18. And then I see 20, all right? Now, I'm looking for the one that actually works for my circle. Which one actually works for my circle? That would be the 20 right here. The reason why the 20 works is, remember, your radius or your diameter has to pass through the center of the circle. If it's not going through the center of the circle, I don't want it, okay? So we're going to use the 20. All right, let's write down our formula. Our formula is area equals pi times radius times radius. Now, is this 20 right here a radius or a diameter? It's a diameter because it goes all the way across. So how do I go from a diameter to a radius? I divide by 2. So I would do 20 divided by 2 to find that my radius is 10. Okay. So now we plug it in. We say area equals pi, which is 3.14, times my radius, which is 10, times my radius, which is 10, and that gives me an area of 314. All right, then we have our rectangle. So looking at our rectangle, we have a formula of area equals base times height. For your rectangle, is the base 18 or 20? The base is 18 for the rectangle. This 20 goes beyond our rectangle, right there and right there, so we can't use that. But the 18 that's right here, that is what encompasses our rectangle. So we have 18. And then what's the height of our rectangle? That would be the 7 that's right here. So we do 18 times 7. We find that we have an area of 126. Now, remember, we are finding the area of a shaded region. And if I'm finding the area of a shaded region, that means I subtract. So we would take 314 minus 126, sorry, going crazy, minus 126, and we would find 188 as our solution. All right, this is the last one for the lesson. Now, this right here is actually a cutout. So like I start with the big piece of paper, right? And then I just take a pair of scissors and I cut this out and I cut this out. And so I'm just left with this right here. Okay, so that's what this picture is. It's me cutting out 2 semicircles to leave me with just that shape that's right there. All right. All right, so we have shape 1 and shape 2, which are, I'm going to call these little semicircles right here, shape 1 and shape 2. Now, these are congruent semicircles. So if we have 2 circles right here, or 2 half circles right here, I want you to watch what happens if we actually take those and put them together. So if I take this and I put it together with this, those 2 half circles right there are going to come together to form a really ugly full circle, okay? But yeah, shape 1 and shape 2 are a full circle once they come together. So that gives us an area formula of pi times radius squared, or pi times radius. Now, this is the information that it gives us for our half circles, right? So taking a look at this, is this 12 that's right here? It's going all the way across. So is that a radius or a diameter? That 12 right there is a diameter, because if I were to redraw this, that 12 is going all the way across my half circle. So that makes that a diameter. And how do I go from a diameter to a radius? I divide it by 2. So I would do 12 divided by 2 to find a radius of 6. When I plug this in, I would do pi, which is 3.14, times my radius, which is 6, times my radius, which is 6. Whoa. And that's going to end up giving me 113.04. Okay, then we have our rectangle. For our rectangle, we have an area of base times height. So taking a look at your rectangle, what's your base? Our base is 14. What's your height? The height is 12. So we would do 14 times 12. And that would give us 168. Now, remember when I first started describing this to you, I told you that we were cutting off those two little semicircles. So if we literally cut these out, what operation do I do to figure out what's left of our picture? We would subtract because we're cutting something out. So this says a cutout. So we subtract. So I'm going to take 168 and subtract off 113.04. And that's going to give me 54.96.